Captain Tai checked his uniform one last time. This was a big day for humans. The first official meeting with the krill species was about to happen. Next to him, Science Officer June was setting up her datapad. "Ready?" Tai asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," June said with a small smile. "Let's hope they like us." The door to the meeting room opened with a soft hiss. 3 tall, blue beings walked in. They had 4 arms, each and large, round eyes that blinked sideways. The one in front wore a silver collar that marked it as important. "Welcome to Earth Station Alpha," Captain Ta said, giving the formal bow that the diplomatic team had practiced. "I am Captain Ta of the Earth Defense Fleet, and this is Science Officer June." The lead krill stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Silk of the Krill Harmony. We are pleased to meet your species in formal talks." Everything was going well. The humans and krill sat down at the round table. They discussed basic things like star maps and trade routes. Then Captain Tai made a joke. "I guess we're really *krilling it at this first meeting," he said, looking at June. June laughed out loud. The sound echoed in the room. All 3 krill froze. "Are you in distress?" Ambassador Silk asked, blinking rapidly. "That sound." It was alarm. No, June said quickly. "That was laughter. We do it when something is funny." Funny. The krill looked at each other in confusion. What is this concept? Tai tried to explain humor, but it only made things more strange for the krill. Ambassador Silk kept writing notes on a small device. Things got even weirder during the lunch break. Captain Ta found a small, shiny rock near the window and picked it up. "What is this action?" Ambassador Silk asked, watching Ta put the rock in his pocket. "Oh, I collect rocks," Ta said simply. "From every new place I visit. It's a hobby." "You take pieces of planets." "For no reason." All 4 of Silk's arms moved in what seemed like shock. "Well, yes, just small ones," Ta said. "Want to see my collection?" The krill ambassador backed away slightly. "Your species removes parts of planets for entertainment." Before Ta could explain, the station alarm went off. Red lights flashed. June checked her pad. "Minor hull breach in Sector 7, she reported. "Maintenance team is on it." "We should move to a safer area," Ambassador Silk said, already heading for the door. "No need," June said. "It's 3 decks down. Station protocol only requires evacuation if it's on the same deck." The krill stopped, shocked again. "You would remain near a breach." "It's just a small one," Tai explained. "Happens sometimes. The repair bots can fix it in minutes." The aliens huddled together, speaking in low tones. June raised an eyebrow at Ta. Later, as they discussed medical exchange, June mentioned human blood donation. "You willingly allow blood removal?" Ambassador Silk asked. "Yes, we can lose quite a bit and be fine," June said. "Our bodies make more." "How much can you lose and survive?" another krill asked. "About 40% in emergency cases," June said. "Though we'd need medical help after about 15 to 20%. Ambassador Silk's eyes blinked rapidly. "And this fluid regenerates completely?" "In a few weeks, yes," Ta said. "Is that not normal for krill?" The meeting ended 2 hours early. Ambassador Silk claimed they needed to process the new information. As the krill left, Captain Tai and Science Officer Jun heard them talking. They laugh at pain, collect pieces of planets, ignore breaches in their ships, and can lose and regrow their life fluid. Silk was saying, "The humans are not just strange. They might be invincible." Ta looked at June and smiled. "I think it went well," he said. June laughed again, making the departing krill walk faster down the hallway. "Next time," she said, "maybe don't tell them about our habit of drinking poison for fun." "You mean coffee?" Tai asked. "Exactly." Engineer Han yawned as he walked into the lab on the research vessel, Harmony. It was early morning, ship time, and he hadn't slept well. The ship's coffee maker was broken, and he needed to fix it soon. Researcher Kra, a tall alien with purple skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle on her face, watched him closely. She was from the Zrith species and had been studying the different alien races on the ship for months. "Good morning, Han," she said, her translator making her clicking sounds into human words. "You appear to be malfunctioning." Han rubbed his eyes. "Just tired. Didn't sleep much last night." All 6 of Kra's eyes blinked at once. "Sleep? This is the unconscious state your species enters regularly." "Yeah," Han said. He sat down at his workstation. "Usually get about 8 hours a night. Only got 3 last night." Kra's skin changed from purple to a pale blue. She quickly tapped notes into her datapad. "You were unconscious for 3 time units?" she asked, voluntarily. Han laughed. "Well, I wanted more, but the engine noise kept me up." Dr. Yun walked in, carrying 2 cups. "Made you some tea since the coffee machine is broken," she said, handing one to Han. "It's not as strong, but it has caffeine." "You're a lifesaver," Han said, taking a big drink. Kra moved closer, her skin now flashing with yellow dots. "Explain this sleep more fully, please. You become unconscious every day. By choice." Dr. Yun looked surprised. "Does your species not sleep, Kra?" "We enter brief rest states while remaining alert," Kra said. "Full unconsciousness would mean death for us." Han sipped his tea. "For us, it's how our bodies and minds recover. Without it, we get sick. Yet you avoid it with this caffeine substance." Kra pointed at the tea. "Sometimes," Yun said, "when we need to stay awake longer than our bodies want." Kra's skin turned a deep orange, which humans had learned meant extreme confusion or distress. "Let me understand," she said. "You must become unconscious for approximately 1/3 of each day cycle. During this time, you are vulnerable to predators and dangers. Yet sometimes you purposely avoid this necessary state using chemicals, which then makes your body require this state even more urgently later." Han nodded. "Pretty much. And sometimes when we do sleep, we have dreams." "Dreams?" All of Kra's eyes focused intensely on Han. "Mental experiences, like seeing things that aren't real," Yun explained. "Stories our brains create while we sleep. Hallucinations during mini-death," Kra whispered, her skin now pulsing between orange and blue. "And this is normal." "Completely," Han said. "I had a dream last night that I was flying over my hometown without any spacecraft, just soaring through the air." Kra backed away slightly. "You experience the impossible while unconscious, and this does not concern you." Yun laughed. "Dreams can be the best part of sleep. Some people even try to control their dreams." "Control the hallucinations." Kra's voice rose higher than her translator could properly handle. "Sure," Han said. "It's called lucid dreaming. I'm not good at it, but some people can decide what to dream about." Kra was frantically taking notes now. "And if you do not get enough of this death-like state." "We get cranky," Yun said. "Irritable. If it goes on too long, we can't think straight. Some people even start to see things that aren't there while awake." "So you require hallucinations while unconscious to prevent hallucinations while conscious." Kra's skin had turned a solid white color that neither human had seen before. "I guess you could put it that way," Han said, finishing his tea. "Some people can go without sleep for days, though. The record is around 11 days, but it's really bad for you." 11 days. Kra's translator simply made a high-pitched beep. "Yeah, really extreme," Yun said. "College students sometimes pull all-nighters before big tests." "All-nighters?" Kreia asked weakly. "Staying awake all night to study," Han explained. "I did 3 in a row once during finals week. Crashed for almost 20 hours afterward." Kra slowly backed toward the door. "I must update my research. Humans are. I need to consult with my superiors." As she left, Yun turned to Han. "What's with her?" Han shrugged. No idea. Hey, did you bring any more of that tea? Chef Sung was proud of his cooking. Today was special. It was the first interplanetary cultural exchange dinner on Earth Station Alpha. He had prepared his best Korean dishes for the alien visitors. Everything ready? Cultural attaché Jin asked as she walked into the kitchen. She wore her formal blue uniform with silver trim. Almost, Sung said. He stirred a pot of bright red stew, just finishing the kimchi jjigae. Made it extra spicy for the Earth diplomats. Jin looked worried. Are you sure that's a good idea? We don't know if the Mern can handle spicy food. Sung waved her concern away. I made mild versions too. They can choose. The dining hall was set up with long tables. Humans sat on one side, and the Mern aliens sat on the other. The Mern had green skin with small scales. They had long necks and wide eyes that blinked slowly. Diplomat Vrox was the leader of the Mern group. He stood up when Chef Sung brought out the first dishes. These are traditional foods from Korea, a region on Earth, Jin explained to the aliens. Chef Sung has prepared both mild and spicy versions. Spicy? Vrox asked. I do not know this word. Jin thought for a moment. It means it contains chemicals that create a hot sensation in the mouth. The Mern looked confused. Hot? Like temperature? No, more like a burning feeling, Jin said. Many humans enjoy it. The Mern whispered among themselves. Vrox looked concerned, but nodded. We will try your food to honor your customs. Chef Sung served everyone. He put small labels that said mild and spicy on each dish. The humans immediately reached for the spicy options. Diplomat Vrox watched as Captain Ta took a big bite of the spicy kimchi jjigae and smiled with pleasure. It's good, Vrox asked. Excellent, Ta said, his face slightly red. Sung makes the best spicy food on the station. Vrox looked at his own bowl of mild stew. Carefully, he tried a tiny bit. He nodded. This is pleasant. Then he looked at the spicy dish. The Mern diplomat wanted to show respect for human customs. He reached over and took a very small bit of kimchi from the spicy plate. The moment Vrox put it in his mouth, his green skin turned bright yellow. His eyes opened wider than seemed possible. He jumped up from his chair. Poison, he shouted. I am attacked. The other Mern stood up in alarm. Jin quickly moved to calm them. It's not poison, she explained. It's just the spicy sensation I mentioned. Vrox was drinking water frantically. My mouth is being damaged. It burns. Chef Sung rushed over with a glass of milk. Try this. It helps with the heat. Vrox drank the milk and slowly calmed down. His skin faded back to green, though lighter than before. You eat this, on purpose, he asked the humans. This pain. It's not exactly pain, Jin tried to explain. More like excitement for our taste buds. Another human took a big bite of spicy food and smiled. It's a good kind of burn. Vrox and the other Mern stared in horror. One Mern scientist was taking notes. The chemical that makes food spicy is called capsaicin, Jin explained. Plants developed it to stop animals from eating them. But humans decided they liked the sensation and bred plants to be even spicier. You bred plants to be more poisonous because you enjoy the pain they cause, the Mern scientist asked. Well, when you put it that way, Jin said awkwardly. Chef Sung brought out more mild dishes for the aliens. The Mern ate carefully, watching the humans continue to enjoy the spicy food with amazement in their eyes. Later, Vrox pulled Jin aside. Your kind consumes pain for pleasure, he said quietly. The reports were true. Humans are either indestructible or completely mad. Jin just smiled. Maybe a little of both. Would you like to try dessert? I promise it's not spicy. Vrox nodded, but kept his distance from Chef Sung for the rest of the evening. Xenobiologist Zret stood at the edge of the beach. His red, scaled skin felt hot under Earth's sun. He wore a special breathing mask because Earth's air had too much oxygen for his species. He was from a desert planet called Nyx, where water was rare and precious. Next to him, marine biologist Min was smiling. "Isn't it beautiful?" she asked, looking at the ocean. "This is my favorite beach near the research station." Zret stared at the vast water. It went as far as he could see. So much water in one place made him nervous. "Your planet has too much water," he said. "Over 70%, you said." "Yes," Min nodded. "Earth is mostly ocean. That's why we call it the blue planet." Zret made notes on his datapad. He was studying Earth for his research. Humans were strange to him. Then he saw something that shocked him. Humans were running into the water. Some were on boards, riding the waves. "What are they doing?" he asked, his voice rising. "Are they in danger?" Min laughed. "No, they're swimming and surfing. For fun." Fun? Zret couldn't understand. "They enter the water by choice." "Of course," Min said. "Most humans learn to swim as children. Don't your people swim?" Zret's scales turned pale. "No, water is sacred on Nyx. We would never put our bodies in it." Just then, Captain Du jogged up to them, wearing swim shorts. Water dripped from his hair. "Great day for a swim," he said. "The water's perfect." "Captain Du is an excellent surfer," Min told Zret. "He grew up near the ocean." Zret looked at the captain with new interest. "You enter the water often?" "All my life," Du said. "I even sailed across the Pacific Ocean once on a small boat." "A boat?" Zret asked. "A small vehicle on top of the water?" "Yes," Du smiled at the memory. 28 days alone at sea. Got caught in a storm near the end. Waves as tall as buildings. Thought I might not make it, but it was worth it." Zret stepped back. "You willingly went onto the vast water in a small object, during a storm." "It was quite an adventure," Du said. "I'd do it again." Min smiled at Zret's reaction. "Humans have a special relationship with water. We drink it, swim in it, travel on it, and our bodies are mostly made of it." "Made of it." Zret's voice was barely a whisper. "About 60% water," Min explained. "Our cells need it to live." Zret was typing frantically on his datapad now. "Your bodies are mostly water, and you play in more water. We even have special buildings filled with water just for swimming," Du added, "called pools. You create fake water areas." Zret could hardly believe it. "And water parks," Min said, "with slides and artificial waves." Zret looked at them both carefully. "I have a theory," he said finally. "Humans are not solid beings. You are semi-liquid creatures pretending to be solid." Du laughed. "That's a new one. It would explain your strange resilience." Zret continued. "And why you do not fear water." Min pointed to some people diving from a small cliff into the ocean. "What do you think of that?" Zret watched humans jumping from heights into the water below. They were laughing as they fell. "This supports my theory," he said. "No solid being would do this." Du patted Zret on his scaled shoulder. "Would you like to try putting your feet in the water? Just at the edge." Zret backed away quickly. "No, I mean, my research does not require direct contact." Min smiled kindly. "That's okay. Everyone has their limits." Later, as they walked back to the research station, Zret made one final note. Humans have evolved to become one with their water world. They think nothing of immersing themselves in the very substance that would terrify any sensible desert species. Humans and water are somehow the same entity. This requires further study, from a safe, dry distance. Cultural observer Plicht had been on Earth for 3 weeks. Her mission was to study how humans express themselves. Her own people, the Vreen, communicated only through simple sounds and touch. Human art confused her. Today, musician Hyun was taking her to a concert. Plicht's silver skin reflected the lights as they entered the large building. Her head tentacles curled nervously under her translator hat. "You will enjoy this," Hyun said as they found their seats. "The city orchestra is playing tonight. They are very good." Plicht blinked her 3 eyes. What is an orchestra? A large group of musicians playing different instruments together, Hyun explained. I play violin with them sometimes, but tonight I'm just watching. Violin? Plikt asked. Hyun made shapes with her hands. It's a wooden instrument with strings. You pull a bow across the strings to make sounds. Before Plikt could ask more questions, the lights dimmed. People stopped talking. On the stage, many humans sat holding strange objects. A woman in black walked to the front and bowed. Everyone clapped their hands together, making a loud noise that made Plikt flinch. Then the music started. Plikt's eyes opened wide as the sounds filled the room. Some were high and sharp, others were low and deep. Together, they made patterns that changed and moved. But what shocked Plikt most was watching the humans play their instruments. They blew into metal tubes. They hit round objects with sticks. They pulled strings with horsehair bows. It all seemed like so much work. Are they in pain? Plikt whispered to Hyun. No, Hyun whispered back. Why would you think that? The one with the small string device is making a face like they hurt. Plikt pointed to a violinist who was playing a solo, face intense with emotion. That's just concentration and feeling the music, Hyun explained. Plikt watched more closely. The players were working hard. Some had red faces, others were sweating. The woman playing a large string instrument had marks on her fingers. When the music ended, people stood up and made the clapping noise again, even louder. Some shouted. Plikt covered her hearing holes. Why do they make that pain sound? She asked Hyun. Clapping. It shows we like the music, Hyun said. It's applause. After the concert, they met Hyun's friend, audio engineer Jae, at a cafe. Plikt was still confused by what she had seen. Why do humans make music? She asked. It requires so much effort. Jae laughed. Because it feels good. It expresses emotions. Some music is relaxing, Hyun added. Some makes you want to dance. But the sounds are so loud, Plikt said. And the musicians work so hard. It looks painful. That's nothing, Jae said. You should see a rock concert. I engineered sound for one last week. The guitars were so loud you could feel it in your chest. Feel it. Plikt's tentacles twitched. The sounds go into your body. Oh yeah, Jae nodded. At the best concerts, the bass shakes your whole body. And in the mosh pit, people slam into each other while the music plays. They attack each other. Plikt moved back in her chair. It's for fun, Hyun explained. It's a way to release energy. Plikt was typing fast on her datapad now. Humans create devices that require physical strain to produce organized noise patterns. These patterns are often so loud they vibrate the body. And sometimes humans physically collide with each other while listening. When you put it that way, Jae laughed. Can I see your violin? Plikt asked Hyun. Hyun had brought her instrument. She opened the case and showed the wooden violin to Plikt. Plikt looked at it carefully. It is beautifully made, but the strings would cut my tentacles. Human fingers develop calluses. Hyun showed her fingertips. Hard spots on our skin from playing. You damage your body to make these sounds? Plikt asked. A little, Hyun admitted, but it's worth it. Plikt finished her notes. Humans deliberately alter their body tissue through repeated micro-injury to produce sounds they find pleasing. Conclusion. All human communication involves controlled pain. Recommend. Diplomatic meetings should be conducted in complete silence for safety reasons. Joe looked at Hyun. Should we tell her about karaoke? Hyun shook her head. Maybe next time. Insurance adjuster Besk was not happy with his new job. The small green alien had 6 arms and 1 large eye that could see in all directions. He worked for Galactic Insurance Company, and they had sent him to assess risks at the new Earth alien colony on Mars. This is your safety officer. Besk asked Captain Ta. His translator made his clicks and buzzes into human words. Yes, this is Safety Officer Sue, Captain Ta said. She will show you all our safety systems. Sue smiled and held out her hand. Nice to meet you. I'll make sure you see everything. Vist touched her hand briefly with one of his 6 arms. I need to see all danger areas and how you protect against them. Of course, Sue said. Let's start with the living quarters. For 3 hours, Vest followed Sue around the Mars colony. He checked fire systems, airlocks, and emergency plans. He made many notes on his datapad. Things were going well until they reached the recreation area. What is that human doing? Vest asked, his eye widening. He pointed at a man who was climbing up a tall wall with only small, colorful rocks to hold on to. That's Q, Sue said. He's rock climbing on our artificial wall. It's great exercise. Vest's green skin turned a pale yellow. He is climbing to a dangerous height with no safety device. Oh, he has safety equipment. Sue pointed to the rope attached to Q's waist. If he falls, that will catch him. But why is he climbing at all? Vest asked. Is there something he needs at the top? Sue laughed. No, he does it for fun. For the challenge. Vest made more notes, his hands moving quickly. Humans climb to dangerous heights, for no reason. Just then, Q reached the top of the wall. He let go and leaned back on his rope, dropping down quickly before stopping halfway. He waved at them. Hey Sue, Q called, bringing the insurance guy to watch me fall. Just showing him our recreation options, Sue called back. Q lowered himself to the ground and walked over. He was smiling and his face was red from effort. You should try it, he said to Vest. We could make some handholds for all 6 of your arms. Vest backed away. No thank you. I do not seek danger. It's not dangerous if you know what you're doing, Q said. I've been climbing for 15 years. What other recreation do humans enjoy here? Vest asked Sue. Well, we have Mars rovers for racing on the surface, Sue said. And some people do low-gravity gymnastics, racing vehicles on an airless planet. Vest's translator made a high sound. With proper oxygen supplies, of course, Sue added quickly. Q grinned. Tell him about the skydiving we're planning when the new dome is finished. Skydiving? Vest asked. Jumping from high places with a parachute, Q explained. The low gravity will make it last longer. Vest was typing so fast his fingers were a blur. You jump from heights, on purpose. It's perfectly safe, Sue said. We calculate all risks carefully. Calculate risks. Vest's eye turned toward her. Explain this. Sue looked uncomfortable. Well, for any activity, we assess the risk factors and create safety measures to bring the danger to an acceptable level. Acceptable level of danger. Vest repeated. What is this level? It depends on the activity, Sue said. For rock climbing, with proper equipment and training, serious injury risk is less than 0.01%. You know there is a risk, but you do it anyway. Vest looked at both humans. For no reason except fun. Q nodded. That's what makes it exciting. The small bit of risk. Vest finished his notes and closed his datapad with a snap. I have seen enough. My report will recommend special insurance rates for humans. Is that bad? Sue asked. Your species deliberately seeks activities that could cause harm, Vest said. You will need a special courting death clause, with very high prices. As they walked back to the main building, Q whispered to Sue, should we tell him about the volcano surfing trip we did on Earth last year? Sue shook her head. Better not. I think his eye might pop out. Peace Ambassador Glix sat very still in the small classroom. His blue, feathered body was tense. On his homeworld, Mathura, his people had not fought wars for over 3,000 years. They solved all problems with complex math. But now he had to learn about human warfare for his diplomatic role. Military historian Jun stood at the front of the room. She had maps and pictures on the wall behind her. Today we'll discuss some key battles from Earth history, she said. These shaped how humans think about conflict. Glix's translator beeped softly as it changed her words to his language. "Is this necessary?" he asked. "I am a peace ambassador. To understand humans, you need to understand our history," Jun explained. "And much of our history involves warfare." Tactical Officer Wu sat next to Glix. He was there to help answer questions. "Don't worry," Wu told Glix. "We're not as violent as we used to be." Jun showed the first picture. It was an old painting of humans fighting with swords and shields. "This is the Battle of Thermopylae," she said. A small group of Greek soldiers held off a much larger Persian army by using the narrow land to their advantage. Glix took notes. "They used the environment as a weapon." "Yes," Jun said. "Geography has always been important in human warfare." The next hour was difficult for Glix. Jun showed battles where humans used everything against each other: weather, hunger, disease, even their own dead bodies. In the Middle Ages, armies would sometimes catapult plague victims over city walls, Jun explained. Biological warfare, though they didn't call it that then. Glix's feathers puffed out in distress. They used their own dead to spread illness. "Humans have always been creative in warfare," Wu said. "Not proud of that part of our history, but it happened." Jun continued to other battles. She showed how humans fought in lines, then trenches, then with machines and aircraft. The most successful generals, she said, were often those who understood human psychology best. "Psychology?" Glix asked. "Yes," Jun nodded. "Knowing how your enemy thinks lets you trick them. Make them afraid. Break their will to fight." Glix wrote quickly. "You use your own mental weaknesses against each other." Jun looked thoughtful. "I suppose we do." When the break came, Wu offered to teach Glix a human game. "This might help you understand strategic thinking," he said, setting up a chessboard. "What is this?" Glix asked. "Chess," Wu explained. "It's a game of strategy. Each piece moves differently. The goal is to capture the opponent's king." He showed Glix how the pieces moved. The pawns, knights, bishops, and queen. "This simulates warfare?" Glix asked. "In a very simplified way," Wu said. "It's relaxing. Many humans play it for fun." Glix's feathers flattened against his body. "You recreate war for entertainment. It's just a game," Wu said. "No one gets hurt. But it trains your mind for conflict." Glix said. "My people would never do this." After the break, Jun continued her lecture. She showed modern military training. "Today's soldiers train with simulations and non-lethal weapons," she explained. "Like these paintball guns, they shoot balls of paint that mark where you've been hit. You shoot each other with fake weapons." Glix asked. "For practice," Jun said. "It doesn't cause serious harm, but it stings enough to make you want to avoid getting hit. You cause each other pain, to practice causing more pain." Glix's voice rose higher. "To practice avoiding pain," Wu corrected, "and to learn teamwork." By the end of the day, Glix had filled 3 data pads with notes. Before he left, he asked one final question. "Do all humans think this way? Always looking for weaknesses, always preparing for conflict?" Jun and Wu looked at each other. "Not all the time," Jun said. "We're peaceful most days. But we recognize that conflict exists." Wu added, "We prepare for it, so we can avoid it when possible and survive it when necessary." Glix nodded slowly and left. That night, he sent a message to his homeworld. Humans see everything as potential conflict. Even their games prepare them for war. Recommend maintaining minimum distance of 3 star systems from human territory at all times. They are not evil, but they never stop preparing for the worst. Emotional researcher Quip sat in a small office at the Earth Alien Research Center. She had smooth purple skin and large yellow eyes that blinked sideways. Her species, the Tuvi, experienced only 3 emotional states: satisfaction, alertness, and rest. She was on Earth to study human emotions, which she found baffling. Thank you for helping with my research, Quip said to psychologist Young, who sat across from her. Young had been working with Quip for 2 weeks now. Happy to help, Young said with a smile. What would you like to know today? I am struggling to understand your joy and sadness emotions, Quip said. My people do not have these. Young thought for a moment. Joy is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Sadness is feeling unhappy, often because something bad has happened. Quip typed notes on her tablet. But you told me humans sometimes cry when they feel joy, and laugh when they feel nervous. This makes no sense. Human emotions are complex, Yum explained. They can mix together. We might feel happy and sad at the same time. At the same time, Quip's eyes opened wider. How is this possible? Before Yum could answer, there was a knock at the door. Actor Juan entered the room with a big smile. Sorry I'm late, he said. Traffic was terrible. Young introduced them. Quip, this is Juan. He's an actor who works with our psychology department. I thought he could help demonstrate some emotions for your research. Quip nodded. That would be useful. My people find human facial expressions very confusing. Juan sat down. Where should we start? Perhaps with basic emotions, Young suggested. Can you show anger? Juan's face changed. His eyebrows lowered, his eyes narrowed, and his mouth tightened. He looked dangerous. Quip moved back in her chair. This is anger. It looks like a threat display. In a way, it is, Young said. Anger often warns others that we're upset. Now happiness, Young said to Juan. Juan's face relaxed into a wide smile. His eyes crinkled at the corners. He looked friendly. This is more pleasant, Quip noted. But why do the eyes change shape? A real smile involves the whole face, Yum explained, not just the mouth. For the next hour, Juan demonstrated more emotions: fear, surprise, disgust, sadness, and more complex feelings like pride, shame, and jealousy. The differences are so small, Quip said. How do humans recognize them all? We're trained from birth, Young said, and we still misread each other sometimes. Quip looked confused. If your communication system is so flawed, why keep using it? Young smiled. Because it's also very rich. It lets us connect deeply. Tell me about entertainment emotions, Quip said. You mentioned humans watch sad stories for pleasure. This seems contradictory. Juan nodded. I act in plays and movies. Sometimes people come specifically to cry or be scared. You pay money to feel bad, Quip asked. Not exactly, Juan said. We pay to feel deeply. Even negative emotions can be satisfying when they're not real. I watched a horror film yesterday, Juan added. I was terrified for 2 hours, but I enjoyed it. Quip's tablet nearly fell from her hands. You seek fear for entertainment. Horror movies give us safe fear, Yum explained. Real danger is bad, but pretend danger can be fun. And sad movies make us cry, Juan said. But it's a good cry. A good cry, Quip repeated. How can crying be good? It releases emotion, Young said. It can feel cleansing. Quip was typing frantically now. Humans deliberately seek emotional states that should be avoided. You pay to feel fear without danger. You enjoy sadness without loss. She looked up at them. Are you experiencing all these emotions now, as we speak? Not all at once, Yum laughed. Right now, I'm mainly feeling interested in our conversation. And I'm feeling a bit hungry, Juan added with a smile. I have a theory, Quip said finally. Humans must be experiencing multiple realities simultaneously. That would explain these contradictory emotional states. Young started to disagree, but Quip continued. Your bodies remain in one reality while your minds visit others. That is why you can feel good sadness or pleasant fear. Your mind knows it is not truly in danger. Juan looked at Young with amusement in his eyes. Well, Young said carefully, that's certainly a creative interpretation. Quip finished her notes. Human emotions exist beyond logical understanding. Approach with caution. Never assume you know what a human is truly feeling. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with beings from 100 different worlds. They floated, crawled, and walked to their seats. Today was important. After 5 years of studying humans, Grand Observer Xelk would present his findings. Anthropologist Sun and diplomat Gil sat in the human section. They were the official Earth representatives. Sun looked nervous, but Gil seemed calm. "Do you think it will go well?" Sun whispered. "We'll see," Jill said. "Xelk has been fair in our meetings." Grand Observer Xelk moved to the center platform. He was tall and thin with silvery skin that reflected the lights. His 4 arms carried data pads, and his 3-lobed head turned to address all parts of the hall. "Honored representatives." Xelk began, his translator changing his musical tones to standard galactic speech. "Today I present my study of the species known as humans." The hall grew quiet. Humans were new to the galactic community. Many species were still unsure about them. 5 years ago, humans joined our coalition. Xelk continued. They seemed similar to other carbon-based life forms, but close study reveals they are unlike any species we have encountered. Images appeared on the large screens around the hall. They showed humans doing various activities. First, Xelk said, humans voluntarily enter an unconscious state daily. The screen showed people sleeping. They call this sleep and claim it is necessary for health. Yet during this state, they experience vivid hallucinations they call dreams. Many aliens murmured in surprise. Second, humans deliberately consume substances that cause pain. The screen showed people eating spicy food. They have bred plants to produce stronger defense chemicals because they enjoy the burning sensation. More murmurs filled the hall. Some aliens looked disgusted. Third, humans have a strange relationship with water. The screen showed people swimming and surfing. They willingly immerse themselves in large bodies of water. They even build artificial water areas for recreation. Now some aliens were making alarm sounds. Fourth, humans enjoy sounds at volumes and frequencies that should cause distress. The screen showed a concert. They gather in large groups to experience these sounds together, often damaging their hearing organs in the process. The hall was getting louder with concerned noises. Fifth, humans deliberately seek dangerous activities with no survival benefit. The screen showed rock climbing and skydiving. They calculate risks and accept possible injury for what they call fun or thrill. Many delegates were now talking among themselves. One reptilian being stood up to leave. Sixth, humans simulate warfare for entertainment. The screen showed people playing chess and video games. They train their young in strategy and conflict management from an early age. The noise in the hall grew louder. Some delegates were calling for restrictions on human activities. Finally, humans experience a bewildering range of contradictory emotional states. The screen showed people laughing and crying. They seek out experiences that cause negative emotions like fear and sadness for entertainment purposes. The hall was now in an uproar. A delegate from a gaseous species was glowing bright red with alarm. Xelk raised all 4 of his arms for quiet. Based on these findings, many of my colleagues have suggested classifying humans as dangerously unpredictable. Sun looked worried. Jill touched her hand reassuringly. However, Xelk continued, I have a different conclusion. The hall grew quiet again. I invite anthropologist Sun and diplomat Gil to explain the final puzzle. Sun and Gil walked to the center. They looked small next to the tall Xelk. Thank you, Grand Observer, Jill said. The behaviors you've described might seem strange, but they all come from one human trait. Curiosity. Sun said simply. Humans are curious. We want to know, to feel, to experience everything. We sleep to rest, but our minds keep working, exploring ideas through dreams, Jill explained. We eat spicy food because we're curious about new tastes, Sun added. We swim in water, listen to loud music, climb mountains, and play games all because we want to experience life fully, Jill said. Even our complex emotions are part of this. Sun finished. We want to understand how others feel, what they experience. It helps us connect. The hall was silent. Then Selk spoke again. Humans are not mad or dangerous, he said. They are something we have not seen before. A species driven primarily by the desire to experience rather than simply survive. A small blue alien spoke up. But isn't this dangerous? Won't they take risks that harm us all?